Hello everyone, welcome back to the MP Coding Advanced C Programming tutorial series. In the last video, we discussed pointer arithmetic. In today's video, we are going to understand one of the most important concepts in C programming, structures. Let's start with a simple example. Here, we have a struct called point, which contains two variables x and y. Both of them are integers. Now, here is something very important. At this stage, this is not memory yet. This is just a blueprint. Think of it like the design of a house. It defines what the structure will look like, but nothing has been built yet. Now, when we do this, struct point p1, memory is allocated. Let's assume that an int is 4 bytes. So in memory, it looks like this. So what did we learn here? Struct members are stored sequentially in memory, and the struct alignment is based on the alignment of its largest member. In this case, both members are integers, so the alignment is 4 bytes. Now, let's go deeper to understand this better. Consider this example. Here, in this struct test, we have a char variable a and an int variable b. Let's think about this. A char is 1 byte, and an int is 4 bytes. And in most systems, an int must be aligned on a 4-byte boundary. Now, before we move forward, try to answer this question. What is the size of struct test? Explain why. What addresses would A and B likely have if struct starts at 0x1000? Think carefully about system alignment. If you already understand this concept, then you are essentially dealing with structure padding and alignment. So, pause the video here and answer to the questions. All right. Let's reveal the answers to these questions. The total size of the struct is 8 bytes. Now, you might be wondering why. A char is 1 byte, and an int is 4 bytes, so logically, the total should be 5 bytes. But why is it 8 bytes? Let's understand this step by step. Assume the struct starts at memory address 0x1000. First, we place the char variable a, which takes 1 byte. So now, the next free address becomes 0x1001. Now, here's the problem. The int variable b must start at an address that is divisible by 4, such as these addresses. But 0x1001 is not aligned. So what does the compiler do? It inserts padding bytes. So, at addresses 1 to 3 are become the padding addresses. Now we reach address 0x1004, which is properly aligned. So the compiler places b at 0x1004. Now the final layout looks like this, where those 3 addresses are just padding added by the compiler. So the total size of the struct becomes 8 bytes. The size of a structure is determined by 3 main factors: member sizes, alignment rules, and the padding inserted by the compiler. Now, why does alignment exist? Because CPUs read memory in chunks. If data is not properly aligned, it can become slower. It may require multiple memory accesses. And on some systems, it can even cause a crash, especially on architectures like ARM. This is why alignment is extremely important, particularly in embedded systems. Understanding these concepts is essential when working with advanced C programming. Now, let's look at another example. Consider this struct test 2. Here, I have changed the order of the variables. Now, int b comes first, and char a comes second. Pause the video here. Try to answer the same questions as before. All right, let's reveal the answers. Once again, the size of struct test 2 is 8 bytes. Now, why is that? In the previous example, the problem was that the char came first and the int came second, so we needed padding before the int to align it properly. But here, things are a bit different. First, we place b, which is an int. It starts at address 0x1000 and takes 4 bytes. So the next free address becomes 0x1004. Then we place a, which is a char. Since it only needs 1 byte, it can be placed directly at 0x1004. So far, we have only used 5 bytes. Now you might wonder, If we are not placing another in after this, why do we still need padding? Well, we are not done yet. The struct itself must also be aligned to 4 bytes. Why is that? Because if we create an array like this, each element in the array must start at a properly aligned address. If the struct size were 5 bytes, then the second element would start at 0x1005, which is not divisible by 4. That would misalign the int b inside the second struct. So the compiler prevents this. So what will happen? The compiler will add the padding at the end. As a result, the final size becomes 8 bytes, even though it logically contains only 5 bytes of actual data. So the key takeaway here is, the size of a struct must always be a multiple of its largest member's alignment. In this case, the largest member is an int, which is 4 bytes, so the struct size must be a multiple of 4. So both struct test and struct test2 have a size of 8 bytes, but the padding location is different. Now, let's move to a more advanced question. Look at this struct A, which contains a char A, an int B, and again a char C. Now, try to answer the same questions as before. Go ahead, pause the video and think about it. Alright, let's reveal the answers. The total size of this struct is 12 bytes. Why? Because the largest member in this struct is an int, which is 4 bytes. So the overall struct size must be a multiple of 4. Even though the actual data is smaller, the compiler inserts padding between members and at the end, making the total size 12 bytes. Now, the address map looks like this. Now let's move to a real embedded example. Assume a typical 32-bit embedded system. Here, we have a struct test that contains a uint16 channel, a uint8 command, and a uint16 array of size 10. Let's understand this step by step. Assume the struct starts at address 0x1000. First, we place channel, which is 2 bytes. So the next free address becomes 0x1002. Next, we place command, which is 1 byte. So it will be placed at 0x1002. Now the next free address becomes 0x1003. At this point, we need to place the next member, which is a uint16 array. Since uint16 requires 2-byte alignment, it must start at an even address. But this 0x1003 is an odd address. So the compiler inserts 1 byte of padding at 0x1003. Now we place the data array. Each element takes 2 bytes, and there are 10 elements, so the total size is 20 bytes. So the final memory layout looks like this. Now let's calculate the total size. Channel 2 bytes, command 1 byte, padding 1 byte, data 20 bytes. So the total size becomes 24 bytes. Now let's check the alignment rule. The largest member alignment is 2 bytes. And 24 is divisible by 2, so no additional padding is needed at the end. So the final size remains 24 bytes. Now, one very important point. uint16 data array is not a pointer. It is actually 10 contiguous uint16 elements stored directly inside the struct. So the struct literally contains 20 bytes for that array. And if we declare struct like this, all 24 bytes are allocated as one contiguous block in memory. Now, here is a critical thinking question. What is the difference between having a data array and a data pointer inside a struct? Consider this example. Here, data member is uint16 pointer. This is a huge difference. Now, answer these questions carefully. Compare this with the previous struct that used a data array. What is the difference in memory size? Where is the actual array stored? Which one requires malloc? And which one is safer in embedded systems? Go ahead, pause the video, and try to answer these questions. Alright, let's reveal the answers. First, the uint16 data array, it takes 2 bytes per element, and since we have 10 elements, the total is 2 multiplied by 10, which is 20 bytes. Now, let's look at the uint16 data pointer. This is different. A pointer size does not depend on the data type it points to. It simply stores an address. As we discussed in the pointer video, on a 32-bit system, a pointer is 4 bytes, and on a 64-bit system, it is 8 bytes. Now, let's compare how memory is organized. In the array version, the 20 bytes are physically embedded inside the struct, so the array exists within the same memory block as the struct. But in the pointer version, the struct only contains an address stored in the data pointer. The actual array is stored somewhere else. It could be on the stack, heap, or in global memory. Now, does the pointer version require malloc? Yes, if we want dynamic memory. For example, after declaring the struct, we must manually allocate memory like this. Without this, the pointer is uninitialized and can lead to undefined behavior. Now, which one is safer in embedded systems? The array version is safer. Why? Because it has no memory fragmentation, no risk of heap allocation failure, no memory leaks, deterministic memory usage, and no need to worry about free mistakes. That is why embedded firmware often avoids dynamic memory completely. Now let's level up. There is something deeper here. Consider this struct. Here, this node structure contains one integer member called value and a pointer called next, which points to another node. Now, here is something very important. We cannot simply include a node inside itself like this. Struct node next. This is illegal. But we can write struct node pointer next. So, let's think about these questions. Why is struct node next illegal? Why is struct node pointer next valid? And what would happen if the first one were actually allowed? These questions unlock some very important concepts: linked lists, recursive types, node-based structures, and real pointer mastery. So go ahead, pause the video, and take your time to think about these questions. All right, let's reveal the answers. First, why is struct node next illegal? Because it creates an infinite size problem. Second, why is struct node pointer next valid? Because a pointer is just a variable that stores an address. Its size does not depend on the data it points to. It is typically 4 bytes on a 32-bit system or 8 bytes on a 64-bit system. The compiler knows the size of a pointer. It does not need to know the size of the object being pointed to. So a pointer is just an address, and that's why this is valid. Now, let's think about what would happen if the first version were allowed. Each node would contain an int and another full node. But that second node would also contain an int and another full node. And that next one would again contain an int and another full node. And this would continue forever. So this never ends. Now, here is the real problem. The compiler must know the exact size of a struct at compile time. But in this case, we would end up with something like the size of node equals the size of int plus the size of node. This is impossible to resolve. It creates infinite recursion, so the compiler rejects it. So the key takeaway is, a struct cannot contain itself, but it can contain a pointer to itself. This is called a self-referential structure. And this is exactly how linked lists are built. In the next video, we will go deeper into node-based structures. So understanding these concepts is very important when working with linked lists. Practice these questions again, and I will see you in the next video.